Sky taught us always to return to love, to trust that love is always, in all ways, the answer in our life. Across 33 years, Sky and Daniel de Castro, Dance Card Danny, were partners, then friends, then partners, then friends, and always Ohana family.
How do you top that, Loretta? Jeez. When Margie asked me to speak today in celebrating Sky's life, I thought about it and I said, I really didn't want to speak about Sky in the third person. So what I decided to do was write a letter to Sky and say the things I wanted to tell him that you can learn about. I'll write another letter that perhaps I can say a few things that are not for you to hear. But right now, I think I would like to read the letter that I wrote to Sky. Dear Sky, it's hard to imagine that you're no longer here. Your sudden passing has left a void in my heart and filled me with such deep sadness. But knowing and loving you as I have for nearly 34 years, you wouldn't want me or anyone else to flounder in grief for too long. Like you always said, life is simply made up of transitions. Life continues. And although you may no longer be in your bodily form, you simply have transformed into another dimension. All of us just need to do some catching up. You have been a mentor, a teacher, a life partner, a best friend. You are truly one of the great loves of my life. You were always special from the very start. You were bigger than life, but you didn't know it because you were so busy living it. You had such a passion for life, to live it fully with fervor and with purpose, up to the very end. We built a beautiful life together. Our first home on top of the hill was the site of many beautiful memories shared with friends. I will always cherish the happy times with people we refer to as orphan tourists in Waikiki. They came to see you at Benihana's, where you were the featured entertainer, and we welcomed them to our home for Thanksgiving celebrations every year. It was a wonderful way to spread the aloha spirit among those who didn't have a place to go on Thanksgiving. And of course, I always remember the incredibly zany gong shows we hosted with our crazy friends who were not afraid to make fools of themselves as they sang, they danced, and acted out hilarious skits on the makeshift stage in our living room. Those were happy, glorious times. And as I digress from the letter, Loretta has been one of our wonderful MCs during those times. You should ask her some of the irreverent acts that we did. Going back to the letter, I'm convinced that you are an old soul. I knew that because you always wanted to be around old things. You loved and collected old phones, old cars, old appliances, old gadgets, even older people. Those who we lovingly referred to as chronologically gifted, which, by the way, made up most of your following when you entertained at Benihana's. You seem to relish the wisdom you derive from being around them. Once I remember counting 13 phones in our home. Not 2, not 3, but 13 phones that you had installed in every single room, and there's probably about 3 or 4 in the bathroom. most of them collected from antique stores. It's amazing how you managed to fix and make them all work. There was hardly anything you couldn't fix. Like a mad scientist, you were naturally curious about how things worked. So you had to take them apart, analyze them, and then put them back together again. The other day, our good friend Thad, and Thad is here with us today. Thank you for coming all the way from Michigan, Thad. Thad and I were reminiscing how one day you were so determined not to have a failing waffle maker ruin our breakfast because it wasn't giving enough heat. So what did you do? With a quick trip to the tool shed and a handful of tools, you magically fixed it and our breakfast was saved. I always remember the adventures and misadventures we had on our motorboat. We were like kids with a new toy. We were fearless then. In fact, we almost lost our boat on the very first day that we launched it. You couldn't figure out why the boat kept sinking into the water as I slowly eased it off of the trailer. As soon as you realized why, you yelled for me to pull it back up just in time before it sank any deeper. Thank God our clunky old Dodge Dart had enough power to pull that trailer back up. Water came gushing out of the boat as soon as I pulled it up. You had forgotten to put the plug in. I'm still astonished as to how we managed not to kill ourselves as we foolishly water skied off of Waikiki in the rough waters of Diamond Head. Once our boat was lifted by a huge swell, and then it dropped 5 feet straight down with me being pulled in the skis behind it. You were scared to death when I disappeared totally underwater. You couldn't find me for what seemed like an eternity until I finally emerged. I did survive, thank God. But did that prevent us from being reckless and carefree? No. I guess we were young and foolish then. Another aside from the letter. Talk to Loretta how we pulled her in a magic, giant, silver bullet on our boat as she just hung on to dear life as we pulled her all the way around Waikiki. To this day, I don't think she ever forgave us. In the years that we spent together, I witnessed how incredibly gifted you were in any endeavor that you chose. You excelled in each one of them. You were the consummate teacher and educator, a talented and truly accomplished musician and entertainer, and a profoundly inspirational minister at every stage of your life's journey. I was blessed to have held your hands in parts of that journey. You showed me your love and passion for music. Music was fundamental to your life. It completed who you are. You were an exceptional musician, masterful at entertaining and engaging your audience. It's a gift that came to you naturally. Because of you, I learned to love and appreciate hula as a creative expression. It's a gift that I will forever treasure. Singing and learning Hawaiian music was something you especially cherished. That's why I laugh when I remember the day we were shopping at the flea market. You spotted the very first 45 RPM record, single, you recorded in Hawaiian. You quickly took me aside and told me that was a collector's item. You were too embarrassed to buy it, so you asked me to do it. I asked the seller how much it was, and he said, 75 cents. You looked horrified. I examined it, and I said, would you sell it for a quarter? Then you looked even more horrified. You thought, how dare I to have the audacity to offer so little for something worth a lot more? I did buy it for a quarter. It didn't take you too long to forgive me, though. We both had a good laugh every time we told this story. 2 days ago, I was brought to tears after hearing again the beautiful rendition of all things, the national anthem. This was different, though, because you were singing it in Hawaiian. Your soulful and poignant rendition gave the ballad such a beautiful and captivating spirit. To me, it became a stirring love song. You have that gift, Sky, to transform something ordinary to something exquisitely beautiful and extraordinary. You were always in quest for something missing in your life. I knew that. You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but you kept searching to find the answer. One such quest took you all the way to Molokai to serve as a nurse to patients with Hansen's disease living in Kalaupapa. You wanted to follow in the footsteps of Saint Damien, who served them as his life's work. You told me that you had the inner calling to do the same. I missed you then when you were there, but I was more proud of you for heeding that call, making the sacrifice, and following your heart. It's that same concern from the underserved that you and I started a program designed to help Hawaii's nursing shortage. We named our company Take Flight, Inc., a metaphor to spread one's wings and to follow one's dream. As an educator, you wanted to provide test-taking skills to those who failed the nursing exams and to empower them to pass so that they could practice nursing in Hawaii. We received funding from the state to start Operation Nightingale. In 2 years, because of your vision, countless grateful nurses spread their wings and soared to reach their potential. We worked our way out of business because of that success. You were the catalyst. You made them spread their wings and soar. We had big dreams. We dreamt of building a bed and breakfast in Volcano on the Big Island. We dreamt of sitting like two old men in rocking chairs on the lanai enjoying retirement in old age. Yes, we manifested the bed and breakfast, all right. But alas, the rocking chairs did not quite materialize. You kept hearing that inner voice again, that inner desire to move on, to search for that elusive something that was missing. You always said you had a severe case of ADHD, a desire for heavenly dancing. Oh my, did you ever dance? You often said that change is the essence of life, that change is the only constant. And indeed, you proved to be the quintessential poster child for change. This time around, it was the call to ministry. This time I felt right. You said it felt right. You felt that it made sense. Now that you've delved in various endeavors that fulfilled physical, mental, and earthly healing, it was time to delve into a higher plane, spiritual healing. For after all, you said, great peace comes when we realize and live from our highest self. And that comes from the inner knowledge of the divinity in ourselves. I was not totally surprised that you would end up becoming a Unity minister. We both stayed away from churches of our past that taught us guilt and unworthiness in the eyes of God. You brought me to Unity, which opened my eyes, as it had opened yours, to a higher consciousness and acceptance of a loving and understanding God. I thank you with all my heart. Your given Hawaiian name, Liko, was truly appropriate. Liko in Hawaiian is a flower bud that symbolizes potential growth. It's waiting to open to its full splendor. You were that. You have opened to that full potential, as you also believe that the same full potential is present in every person that you met. You told me how you came to decide upon your name change to mark your spiritual awakening after attending ministerial school. Only you could come up with something like this. You chose Sky because it was a name you always wanted to have. You chose John because he was your favorite disciple among Jesus' 12 disciples. However, with a name like Sky John, you thought that it sounded more like an airplane lavatory. Of course, adding the word saint in between solved that problem. And I agree that Sky St. John, as your spiritually reawakened name, had a better ring to it. You were the perfect minister. You have proven this Sunday after Sunday when you lifted people's lives with your inspiring messages. You were the embodiment of pure, unconditional love for everyone that you met. You practiced what you preached. You walked the talk. And you strive to learn from the spiritual masters. You inspired me with your 2-hour meditations each day during the wee hours of the morning when you would wake up. You even observe a day of silence every Tuesday following Gandhi's practice of introspection and reflection. My, did that confuse some people. You were the kindest, most compassionate person I've known. You would give the shirt off your back to anyone who needed it more than you. And your generosity knew no bounds, sometimes to a fault. You always believed that your Father in heaven has deep pockets and that everything one needs is already provided. You always called me a saint for having the patience to deal with your ever-changing quests. You called me the rock that anchored and steadied the ship during life's heavy storms. But you, Sky, was my saint and my moral compass. You have given me the ultimate gift of unconditional love. And my only regret was that I was not there to soothe and quiet every storm. Rest in peace, dear Sky. I know that you have achieved the ultimate healing and peace that you have always sought as you rest in God's embrace. Until we meet again in our next adventure, with love, Danny.
Loretta Ables Sayre offers us an invitation in the language of the heart, music that was so dear to Sky.
Long after this endless summer is gone, I'll be lonely, oh, so lonely, living only to remember you. I'll remember too your voice as soft as a warm summer breeze. Your sweet laughter, mornings after, ever after, I'll remember you. To your arms someday I'll return to stay. Till then I will remember too every bright star we made wishes upon. Love me always, promise always. Ooh, you'll remember too. To your arms someday I'll return to stay. Till then I will remember too every bright star we made wishes upon. Love me always, promise always. Ooh, you'll remember too. I'll remember you. I'll remember you.
Thank you, Loretta.